Hello, hello, hello. It's that time again. It's time for PMO HotHouse. Glad that you're with us today. Let's get going.
Woo!
Hello, hello, hello. So PMO HotHouse, what is it all about? Thanks for joining us. It is a new show that we've been kicking off at the House of PMO and with Hot PMO as well. It is, the reason why it's called HotHouse, it's about a place where there's intense activity, especially intellectual or emotional activity. So it suits us right to the ground. So what are we doing today? If you've not joined us before, it's pretty fast and furious. What do people need to know about John, Eileen, chats and getting involved?
Well, I like the intellectual and emotional. You can bring the intellect, Lindsay, and I'll cry quietly in the corner. So key thing, this is, we put this out live. We live stream this on LinkedIn. So hello to everyone on LinkedIn. But we're also, if you've signed up for this on the House of PMO website, you'll have got an invite to the Zoom link, which is kind of like the inner circle of this. So if you've joined us on Zoom, you are able to join us and have chats in the messaging section. So do say hello on there. Let us know where you're from. And what that means is we can interact with those as we're going. So if you're on Zoom, then say hi there and we'll chat to you throughout. Anyone on LinkedIn, absolutely welcome to comment on LinkedIn as we're going. We don't see those live though. So my advice is, if you're listening on LinkedIn this week, take the time to sign up over at House of PMO's website, and maybe next month you can join us in our inner circle live on Zoom.
All right, super duper. So we've got another show lined up. We crack on, and so this time we've got another couple of segments that we're trying out, and our first one is all about out and about, and this came about because the world is obviously we're down definitely post-COVID, and things are slowly changing for people. So we thought actually we would start to have a think about when we're going to be out and about. So this is a new thing. So let's have a look.
Well, here I am. It's day 3 of being out and about this week. I've come into the office in London Monday, Tuesday, and today, Thursday. Oh, what's my experience been like? Well, firstly, the trains are busier than they were last time I tried this a few months ago. It's been standing room only on the way in. I'm really impressed with the lady who was standing next to me on the train this morning, who managed to remind her kids to brush their teeth, agreed to give them some Robux for their computer game, and organised 2 meetings. She was on the phone continuously and just was nailing her to-do list. I swear she probably did more stuff than is on my to-do list by the time we got off the train in a short 15-minute journey. So that's sort of mind-blowing. Today I'm working through some project plans with some project managers, which will be good. That's the kind of stuff that you can do over Zoom, but it really works so much better face to face, because you can be doing it on screen together. Then when that's not working, you can kind of change thinking by jumping up and using post-it notes on a board or a whiteboard, or bring somebody else in to get a second opinion, or go out for coffee, get some fresh air and reconvene again. So much easier to do in person than it is over Zoom in half-hour chunked meetings. It's been great for the corridor conversations as well, just being able to catch up with people that are on the periphery of projects, those stakeholders that you might not ordinarily have a meeting with, but you can just check in with and see how things are fine in a couple of seconds when you're putting your putting tea in a cup and stirring up and everything. So yeah, it's been good. It's been a successful few days. Looking forward to today being the 3rd successful day. Does this experiment mean I'll be going into the office more in future? A lot depends on the team around you, I think. If you've got a team that are willing to come in and willing to engage in that way, it's fantastic for productivity. The team I'm with now are in 3 days a week, so I will definitely be continuing this trend and spending more time in the office. That's me.
Excellent, John. You go doing stirring of coffee out and about. Fantastic. Here's another one. here in London in a rather gorgeous library. We're actually at the Royal Institute of Great Britain, and we're here to celebrate the House of PMO qualifications. Tonight we're going to be joined by a number of PMO practitioners, all interested in development in PMO, and House of PMO is going to be formally launching its 4 level of qualifications. There you go. That's just horrendous for watching yourself. However, that actually video, I know it was polished, but actually, John, I managed to do it on the train on my phone on the way home, do the Inkaya edit. So I've been more than happy to tell people how I did it in the chat. But here's the last one, and this is Eileen out and about.
Well said. It's a long time since you've been out and about in London. You've done the classic thing, got on the tube, got on the wrong lane. Now we're going to go back down the way to try and get to my location.
Who's? There she goes.
She can't do any of that nasty stuff, right? I'll do horrible things.
Look at you, like somewhere in person.
Hello. With Wayne, that's important. That's why we do these in-person events, isn't it? Ghana, so that's a same time zone, just further away. 5. Excellent. Right then, so happy. So that's it, we're done for the evening. We've had 109 people online plus 40 people in the room, and what it does mean is that there's lots of after event conversation, perhaps what we don't get online. So we're really looking forward for House of PMO to get out there and do more face-to-face events. So if your organisation wants to house us, we'd be delighted to come and run one at your place.
So there you go. We got out and about. I'd be really intrigued to know whether anybody's thought about doing any kind of videoing stuff. Because John, can you remember we first talked about this a few months back when we were thinking you did some excellent videos where you were giving some project status updates to your team, and you were doing it via doing some videos like that, weren't you?
We did. I was flying back and forth to Vancouver, and I was kind of doing them like from the airport, just giving people a quick summary of where we were, those kind of short bite-sized pieces. I found those kind of video sort of conversations worked really well for broad updates of how the program are going as a general stakeholder update. Not so good for the exec team updates. They never bothered looking at them at all, but good for the wider team. You need something a little bit more focused and probably still on email for the exec, I think.
Yeah, super duper. And Eileen, you seem to have fun in your out and about. Remember, you're on mute, my dear. She's just having a word about me by the sounds of it.
Absolutely. I just love giving you the camera for some of that. But yes, but it was just nice. And what after the event that we went to with BCS, it was a full hour and a half after the event. So the after conversation was almost as long as the event itself. And it's interesting, isn't it, when you're on Zoom, you can only have like one-to-one conversations or one-to-many, but in a room, you can have lots of conversations happening at the same time. So it was nice. I enjoyed it. I can't wait to start doing a few more of them though. I have to relearn the tube map.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Do you remember here at PMO HotHouse, we have different segments each month. So, you know, it's just mixing it up. There's some regulars as well, but we've actually got another new one for you, which again, you know, we say it's a period of intense activity at HotHouse, but so it's also a place where the PMO can kind of, you know, incubate ideas and things. So after the last one last month, which you can get all our previous recordings and stuff via the website, but also you can have a look on YouTube for some of the shorter things like the Hot House. But after the last episode we did, something came up, some words, so we thought actually we've got a new segment here straight away. And it's not something that I'm sure we all know, the 3-letter acronyms and stuff like that. But it's not an acronym, is it, John? You've got something to share with us in terms of some jargon busting. No, can't hear you, John.
We talked about low code and no code and what those meant. So I'm just going to share that really, really quickly now. There's lots of tools that are coming out in this space now. There's the Microsoft Flow things. This is UiPath that I use a lot for robotic process automation. And basically the idea of these things, it's taking what would have been done previously by coders in a software development team, line by line, writing lines of code. A lot of people have been working hard to try and make that processing power more accessible to people who aren't programmers. So things like sort of Microsoft Flow, Microsoft Apps, and also things like UiPath, introducing these interfaces that don't require you to do much coding, low code or no code as they're called. So if I look at this one here, a really, really simple example, I want to maybe just capture RAG statuses. Okay, so this is a 2-second demo. I want an input dialogue asking somebody to tell me what their RAG status is. So I've just dragged and dropped an input dialogue into a flow. So say I want to have a dialogue. I'm going to say RAG status. What the label is, well, I want it to be what's your RAG status? What's your status? I could have them type it into a box. I want to do multiple choice. I want a choice of red. Do we use yellow or amber? I'm going to use amber. Been working with some Americans recently, so they use yellow rather than amber, but let's go with that there. And I want to save the output of that because I want to use that somewhere else. So I'm going to save that as a variable. What should we call it? RAG status or something. RAG status. So we're not writing any code. We've got this low code environment where we're dragging and dropping boxes in to be able to help us do it instead of trying to open up a scary coding app or something like that. I've got it. I want to put it into an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to write to a cell in Excel. And really, really simply, I've got a spreadsheet here, which is called test spreadsheet. And I'm going to say, I'm just going to put it into an empty cell in a spreadsheet, RAG status there. And that literally is how this works. So hopefully that works. I'm just going to run this and see if it works. Fingers crossed for me now. So this should hopefully prompt me for my RAG status. And then it should write it into a spreadsheet for me. Now, whilst this is obviously really simple, you can see hopefully that I could be dragging information from somewhere, processing it, writing it into a different spreadsheet and bouncing it around. Is this going to work? Yes, there we go. What's your RAG status? I'm green. Life is good. Things are green. It should move on to the next step now. So that first one's completed. It should hopefully open Excel for me. And it should pop that into Excel for me and write it into that first cell there, which it is doing annoyingly on the other screen. So you haven't seen it. But there you go. That's finished running now. And I hope you get the idea from that. Whilst that was a really quick example, it's easy to build things really fast with low code, no code tools. You don't need to be a software developer, but you can use it to build more and more advanced tools. So you can scrape information from one place, put it into a different one. I could use that to send emails out once I'd collected RAG statuses from everybody, upload it into SharePoint and various things. So there you go. That's in a nutshell, when we're talking about low code, no code environments, that's the sort of drag and drop interface that we're talking about when we're talking about those kind of tools.
Right. Wow. Excellent. Well, as Faye said, she's only had a go with her daughter, helping her with the coding homework. I love the fact that the kids are doing all this kind of stuff. But it's so unfortunately it's going to be in our world as well, because Office 365 continues to grab the headlines in PMO world, with people trying out the things like the Power Apps and stuff like that. So. Yeah, it'd be lovely to see, how people are doing it, and and what benefits they're seeing, obviously.
Yeah, and to your point there, where you said citizen development, that's what PMI are using, as well as others are using that terminology to say, actually, this is where we're creating worlds where actually we're empowering more people in the organization to create these kind of flows and processes and applications themselves to accelerate the business without relying on a software development team. So that's that world of citizen development.
Excellent. Thank you very much, John. So that's Jargon Buster. It's a new segment. Whether it comes back next month or not, we'll see. However, it's now on to the next segment. Okay, so it's poll of the month, and we tend to have something that not necessarily could be related to what we're talking about, could not, but this time we're going into something that we've done at the House of PMO recently. We do a careers hour and different themes around career stuff, and so this question, hopefully coming up on your screens right now, absolutely nailed it, because every time I do this, it always tells me that I can't do it because somebody else can. All right, so skills poll. It's if money and time be no objection, what skill area would you focus on for upskilling? So we literally had this conversation yesterday. We were doing a segment career hour about identifying skills gaps, and as part of the conversation was about okay, so if we identify things, it's about upskilling, obviously, maybe trying new things or just getting better at what we already know. It was really interesting, and I'll reveal what we were talking about and whether it aligns with what the polling you're going for. So hopefully you can get involved in the poll that you can see on screen. So you've got options like PPM skills, that's your project management stuff, your PMO stuff, portfolio management, technical stuff like Office 365. You've got behavioral and interpersonal skills like influencing and all of that kind of good stuff. Management skills, all things around teams, leadership skills, so getting higher up the chain and doing things around strategy development and things like that, or just more generic business skills like finance, marketing, and that's kind of thing. And interestingly, I'm going to end the poll right now. The results are very similar. It is exactly what came out of the session that we were running. It seems to be capturing a lot of people's imaginations right now, but also, the problem is with it is having the time. So one of the questions we did as a follow up is like, okay, so if you want to do this kind of stuff, that it's actually really important, you've got in stakeholders, senior execs that want to see, information and data and all that kind of thing. So that the requirements right now, but we also know that we're busy people. The PMO is a busy place to be. There's a lot of other things that are also, taking our attention. So how do you do this? I mean, John, you've been doing a lot of stuff around technical, things for yonks. Is it a case of people you've got to carve out the time in work, or is this a training course? Like what can they be doing? We've got you on mute, I think.
I'll come back to that in just a second. But for those of you who are joining us on LinkedIn Live, you may not have seen the poll arrive on your screens. Just a reminder that if you do want to join the inner circle on this one, take time before next month to go over to the House of PMO website, sign up for the event there. You'll get a link to the Zoom version of this stream, which brings you into the inner circle of people where you can join us on our live chat internally on Zoom, and you can see and interact with the polls as well. So for next month. But the key things that came out of the poll we just did with that small group group, the biggest one by far that people wanted to spend time on. So the question was, money and time being no objection, what skill would you focus on upskilling? Half the people here in this kind of inner circle in Zoom said they'd focus on technical skills, things like Office 365, Power BI, etc. Then there was a tie for second place, behavioral interpersonal skills and PPM tools. After that, it was business skills. Interestingly, nobody on here selected management skills or leadership skills. But going back to Lindsay's question, so how you learn those things. Now, the good news is there's so much information out there on the internet, and a lot of the tool providers offer free training paths, and there's a lot of stuff on YouTube. How I tend to work with tools is I tend to go to the provider of the tool, so UiPath or Microsoft or Atlassian for the Jira products. They often have learning streams that you can follow. Their videos, they're often free. They're usually free to run or a very small amount of money. What they'll take you through is how they see their tool being used, and they'll take you through a logical path of doing it. So that's the kind of the long-term way of learning how to use those tools, the way the manufacturers intend them to be used. That said, there's always going to be little things that you need, and for that I find YouTube is fantastic. There's always a video that's got 3 or 4 minutes of information in that you can download into your head and try something specific. So 2 different ways of learning: one to learn the tools sort of as an ongoing learning and personal development thing. The other one, short, sharp injections of how do I do a specific skill. That's where you look into YouTube.
All right, super duper. Thanks, John, and thanks for taking part in that. And let's move on. So next segment. So this is all about what we're seeing in terms of what's hot right now and what's not right now in terms of PMO stuff. So Eileen, do you want to give us your what's hot right now?
Well, it seems to be everybody's looking forward to being out and about because conference season is not here, but information about the conference season is definitely here. And here at House of PMO, no different. We've got our conference coming up on the 14th and 15th of June in London and the 11th and 12th in Edinburgh in November. So good to see that people seem to be accepting the conferences are going to happen. People are booking, which is great news. So something to look forward to.
Okay, so a bit of a bad line from Eileen because she's out and about right now, but hopefully you get that one from conference season. And of course, it's lovely to see all the people booking onto the PMO conference, and great to see people coming back overseas as well. John, what's your hot right now?
Apologies to some of you that have been using this for the last couple of years. I've been a bit slow to the party on this one. It's Microsoft Lists. This is something Microsoft introduced in 2020. It's a great addition to SharePoint. It allows you to create these small yet really powerful databases that reside within your organization's SharePoint and allow you to easily communicate data with people in your team. They're collaborative, so everyone can edit them. Unlike Excel, you've got version control. So if you're using this for a RAID log, you can see who's changed what and when, which is nice. And the great thing about these is it's really easy to link them up to Power Apps, to use this as a feed to Power BI, and you can use them, you can do lookups from one to another as well. If you've not played around with these, if you're still one of those organizations that has a SharePoint environment and then using a spreadsheet within a document list for your RAID, please go and spend 5 minutes playing around with this tool, because I've been, the last couple of engagements I've had have been very much with Atlassian environments, so I'd not played around with this before. I'm using it now and loving it. So if you've not played with it, dive in and have a play. I think you'll be blown away by it. I'll share some blurb about it. Excellent. There's a link there.
Thank you very much. And finally, the one from me is that what we're seeing in terms of House of PMO interactions with corporate members and new corporate members, it seems to all be around the development aspects. And, what you're seeing up on screen right now is just something that we were sharing yesterday in the career hour, which again is all about development and things, using different tools. We were talking about obviously assessments. Everybody should know by now because we keep hammering it, but we've got the PMO competency framework and the assessments. That's what seems to be hot right now for organizations that are looking to help their PMO people develop, become the best that they can be. So that's the ones that are hot right now. But what about the ones that are a little bit cooler? Eileen, hopefully we'll be able to hear you. You've got one, AI scaremongering.
Absolutely, yes. So hopefully you can hear me a little bit better. I did a quick change in the headphones there. I'm sick of hearing that all of our jobs are going to disappear because AI is appearing on the screen. And I think certainly some of the conversations we've had, our jobs won't disappear, they might change. We might have to learn some new skills. And really interesting in the poll that people actually want to learn those new technical skills. So I think we just need to kind of, people stop saying our jobs are going to disappear and try and kind of frightening us into doing this. We are kind of moving into doing more technical AI things, but it just means our skills are going to change and our jobs are going to change for the better, hopefully.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And John, you've got a lovely one. What's this then?
Throttle bottoms. Throttle bottoms. I don't know if anybody saw QI this week, but thank you very much to Sandy Toxvik for giving me this new word. It was described as an inept but harmless public official, and it kind of got me thinking about how many of people of that ilk that I've come across in the PMO world of the past. These people that the sort of PMO person that knows the rules and follows the process and very, very close. As long as you're following the rules and ticking the right boxes and putting things in a spreadsheet, then you're kind of doing everything right and well done. They're following the right thing. They'll stay, if you look at it as a public office job, they'll stay in their role forever because they're doing the right thing, but they're not actually helping anyone or bringing or driving anything forwards. And I think this is where a lot of people still have a view of the PMO as being this kind of a team of throttle bottoms that are kind of harmless enough and do a bit of a public office role. And I think we all need to have a think about this and say, well, where we believe that the PMO is actually this great group of people who accelerate projects and help the organization deliver things faster to a higher standard. Is that really how we're portraying ourselves in our organization? And is everybody in our PMO team striving for those same goals? Because if it only takes one throttle bottom in your PMO team to give that everyone in the organization that perception of you. So we used to talk about PMO police and how that was a bit of a drag. I'm thinking now more about the PMO throttle bottoms and how we thwart them.
You're going to have people shouting across the office, TB!
Yeah, stop being a TB.
Excellent. A thing that's really not right now. I don't know if you've noticed, certainly here in the UK, driving on the streets, how many roadworks are there going on right now? And that is all about councils getting to the end of their financial year and they're just chucking roadworks all over the place to use the spending up their budget. Thing is, we're also seeing that in terms of development. So it's the opposite flip side in terms of what we're seeing around development for PMO people. There's too many organizations are throwing they've got bits of training budget left and it's just a case of we need to spend it and we need to spend it now. And it's just about, this is a kind of thing that should be happening over the space of a year, where people can be doing some proper assessment, understanding what it is that they really want to address in their training and planning for that accordingly, rather than just, an organization saying, look, we've got a bit of training budget left, let's do this because I want a better idea. And it just feels a big waste. And we're certainly seeing that, and it's just not right now. So there you go, there's the thing again. Sorry, Alan, here on the chat, I think we seem to have had a couple here that have been related to public service, but we know that everybody's doing the best that they can with what they've got, Alan, so don't take it personally at all. So thanks very much. That's what's hot and what's not right now. Let's move on to a new segment. So we've got a lovely person in the hot seat this month, and we've got Stuart. Stuart's joining us, Stuart Taylor. Hello, Stuart. How are you? You okay?
Hi there. Yes, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. How are you enjoying the show so far?
Oh, I'm loving it. Rock bottom. I'll be using that.
So basically, and this segment is somebody in the hot seat, and we're joined by Stuart, who is you work in PMO, and I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit more. But he's here with us today because Stuart does something quite unique in terms of his his career and what he's doing in terms of social media. And we wanted to just put a few questions to him and and just find out a little bit more about what he's up to. But Stuart, you're working in PMO, aren't you?
Yes, that's right. I'm PMO in an insurance company at the moment in London. I've not worked purely in financial services. I've worked across NHS, local government, banking, retail. So I've diversified my sectors quite well. Never really mastered any of them, though. It's funny, I've actually been I'm on my second insurance company, and 5 years in, and I still don't really know much about insurance. I seem to be spending all my time just helping people with projects, and for the last few years, it's been really project focused, helping project managers to have standards, improve their skills, coaching them through difficulties. And now it's moving more up into the portfolio space, where I'm getting to spend some time with the senior people who have their own perceptions on the value of PMO.
Well, yeah, but hopefully not TBs. But you do other things in your spare time as well, and you always seem to be busy. I don't know how many people have come across Stuart before, but you use social media really well, and it's all about interlinked with you kind of building your own brand and all of that kind of stuff. How did you get started? I mean, what is it that you're doing, and how did you get started with that?
Well, I moved from one job to my current job, and it was at the start of the pandemic. And I went from a role where I was teaching people how to do things, teaching other PMOs how to do things, to a situation where that wasn't the case. And by that point, I'd realized I'd been telling people pretty much the same thing over and over and over. And I thought, well, why not just tell a wider audience much quicker? And as soon as I got over the obstacle of, well, why would anybody want to hear that from me? Then I was good to go. And the lesson that helped me get across that was someone said that, when you've seen a Sherlock Holmes story, they still make other Sherlock Holmes stories. Other people come and play Sherlock, they didn't stop at Basil Rathbone. They've told the same story multiple times to different people, because there's always somebody who brings a different voice to the same topic. Yeah. And when I realized anybody could become a creator. Anybody can share the same lessons through their lens and have an appeal and have reach. And as soon as I realized that really just helped me to get going, and it's been all fun ever since.
How long have you been doing it for?
About 2.5 years. I did attempt blogging at one point way back, but the written format just wasn't really best suited to me. I never imagined really I'd be pretty good at, like, say, doing video content. But I saw a few videos, and then I saw a video where someone gave a demonstration of their home studio, and I realized it doesn't involve that much equipment. You can get started fairly quickly, and it's quite accessible. And in fact, if you've got a modern mobile phone that's been made in the last 3 years, its camera gear is so good, it's comparable to the high-end cameras that people used to invest thousands in. So there really is no excuse. Anybody can jump in and do this.
But you say that, but I think this is quite, it's quite embarrassing. It's like, oh God, like putting yourself on camera, and I mean, are you an extrovert? Is that what that you feel quite comfortable with doing this?
I'm happy to share and get engagement from other people. Interestingly, on YouTube, it's been discovered that introverts perform quite well when talking to camera, because they're talking usually to a piece of plastic and glass that doesn't give any human feedback. So an introvert can actually thrive by doing this and actually show a different side of their personality and open themselves up a lot more than you'd expect, whereby an extrovert is often more in danger of waiting for cues, waiting for feedback, right, and would struggle with that part.
Okay, did you watch your stuff back then? Because it's like, that's the thing that me and Eileen always say. We get recorded doing presentations and things like that, and she's all, we always, well, just don't watch it, So although we've just had to sit through those out and about videos, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, oh yeah, but
well, I have to watch myself because I edit my own videos, and the first thing you learn when you start editing anything of your own content is you've got to learn to forgive yourself. That's just the first thing. It's like, forgive yourself for all the funny faces that you pull that you don't realize you're pulling, the funny quirks, the way that you mispronounce words and things like that. You've just got to learn to forgive yourself fairly quickly, and then you're good. You're good to go.
Yeah, super. So how does this fit with what with your daily your working life, and then you've got this presence, and there's anybody can check out the links to Stuart's, and you can see just how many people are subscribed to him. How does it work in terms of you having a day job and then that? Are you sharing your videos at work and things?
Yes, I'm really fortunate that I've got an incredibly supportive boss who has encouraged me all the way through this. Whilst I was getting started on doing this, there was somebody in the team who's writing a book as well. So there are people who are looking to, basically the team that we've built is passionate about projects, right. And so much so they want to share that knowledge, and that's a really positive thing. And my manager and her bosses have not done anything to stifle that at all. They've been very encouraging all the way. And it helps to have, a very supportive family as well, because the time it takes to create content, I can't shorten the work time, otherwise I get fired. Yeah. I can't really shorten the sleep time. I tried that when I got started. That didn't really work out too well. Yeah. So what's shortening really is potentially family time. And I'm having to find ways to manage that constantly. But it helps to have a very forgiving and understanding family.
So when you started doing this, I get that, it's just this outlet, it's being able to share. And then, of course, people can, rather than having to explain videos, you can show people your channel. In fact, anybody who's on this session today can also show people your channel, so they don't have to do the explanations. But what other benefits has it brought for you that you possibly didn't imagine when you first started doing this 2.5 years ago?
I, for one thing, didn't imagine, there's so many things I didn't imagine. I didn't imagine monetization being something that could happen where you get paid through YouTube for the adverts that get shown. I knew it was possible that you could get to that point, but I didn't expect to be anywhere near there for about 5 years. I got there in just under 2. So I didn't expect money. I didn't expect public speaking, people to come to me and say, hey, you've got some good videos, you talk about things, do you want to come and talk to us in person? And that was a real surprise. But the biggest surprise, to be honest with you, is the community of friends that I say that I've made out of this. And I include people who are I know they're actually watching this and participating in this call. That's been one of the biggest surprises, because you reach out and you start making collaborations with other creators, and you get to know each other and you become friendly, and it's just a really good community where everyone's really supportive. And that's maybe been the biggest thing, other than one other thing actually, yeah, which didn't happen, which is the toxic side of the internet. Okay. Never experienced it. Never. Right. I've met maybe 2 bad comments where I think I was willfully misunderstood by somebody. Someone just took the worst possible interpretation of what I'd said. Yeah. But as long as you're sharing value and you always put the audience first and their time first, and you value their time, and you get to the point fairly quickly, which I'm not exactly doing a good job of at the moment, then usually people respond positively to you.
Yeah. I mean, and again, this is a potential great career tool for people as well that that want to kind of raise their profile in some way. But again, we can't deny that all of this stuff now that's available online, you may as well put things out there, and it doesn't have to be as big as what Stuart's doing and monetizing of YouTube channels and things like that, but just some little things like putting things on LinkedIn and some short videos, or even, as you alluded there, there's you blogging and writing and things like that as well.
Let me just jump in there if I may. You absolutely must do this, because you could be absolutely brilliant at your job. You could be the best PMO all of your team and colleagues have ever worked with. But that's probably maxing out at 10 people, knowing that you're good. And if anything ever happens to that team, if anything happens to that organization, you and your brilliant reputation means nothing, because there's only 10 or 8 people out there who are willing to vouch for you. If you actually build a community around you outside of there, I believe in packing your parachute before you need it. And I think that you are de-risking parts of your career by sharing with the world your knowledge, giving it away freely, not asking for anything back, and just being seen as somebody who knows that part of what they're doing. It doesn't have to be everything. It can be a narrow niche, but I really strongly believe you de-risk your career by doing that.
Yeah, brilliant. No, I absolutely agree too. I've been working in recruitment for a number of years, and you know, you've got to stand out of the crowd as well. And you've got a fan here, Sadie's like, you know, sharing value is a key phrase here. Well done, Stuart. You're doing great. So you've got a fan here. So hopefully we can get you some more fans. So just going back to Stuart, so you can see his YouTube channel there is called Influential PMO. You know, he's one of you, so you should absolutely be backing Stuart and what he's been doing. There's a lot of stuff for you to dip into as well, so there's the things there that you'll be learning too if you want to go and have a look, and make sure you hit subscribe on the YouTube channel. So Stuart, we did have some other questions. You know, we've only got so much time today, but it'll be lovely to you can see there that we've done a video there already about what is a PMO. You know, please reach out to Stuart as well. Make sure you connect to him on LinkedIn. He's a lovely bloke. And make sure if you're coming along to the PMO conference this year, Stuart will be there. He's going to be doing some vlogging, interviews and general, you know, kind of stuff at the conference. So again, you know, you'll be able to come along and meet him, and you'll say, hey, it's Stuart, and let me have a chat with you. And yeah, so thank you very much, Stuart. Really appreciate you dropping in today, and you know, hopefully we'll pick up with you again. Hopefully you'll come back on the show later on, and yeah, come and share some more stuff with us
anytime.
Super, thank you very much. So we're coming to the end. It's a 45-minute show. We don't slow down. It's something nice for a Friday once a month. And John, we go out on a blaze of glory. What have you learned today, John? What stood out for you?
Again, it's been another action-packed 45 minutes. So thanks, everyone. We've learned that we've all been we've been out and about. And one of the key things I took away from those videos that across a theme that we all had was the conversations that happen around the meeting. So whilst when we're online, we might do the sort of 30-minute call. When we're in person, we tend to do the 30-minute meeting plus bits around it as well. We have the conversations around it, the drinks afterwards, and the social side as well, which is super, super valuable. We looked at low code, and I think Eileen made a point in the comments that it looks as easy as playing around with your views in Outlook. So it's quite simple to do, and yet a really, really powerful way of getting things done efficiently. That said, we need to avoid the scaremongering that comes with around AI tools taking over our jobs. Things like low-code tools are actually enhancing and allowing us to do a better job, but they're certainly not coming for our jobs anytime soon. And then we heard from Stuart, great insight there. I loved some of the things that he came up with. Firstly, to reassure you, if you've ever thought about putting anything out there but you haven't wanted to, Stuart made a great point there. Anyone can be a creator and share things through their lens and their perspective. Your perspective is valuable. It's a great way of building friends and building your own community. And also, it's a great way of sharing your credibility, because when you're working with a small PMO team or even a PMO team of one, you don't have those people who can vouch for your capabilities other than that very small group. If you're going out there widely and broadly on LinkedIn and YouTube, you've got the whole world understanding how good you are, how much skill you have, and what you have to share with everyone. That's it for this week. What's coming up this month with you guys, Lindsay?
Well, you know, first of all, I've got my Willy Wonka hat wearing, because we are doing a free ticket giveaway if you purchase one of our lovely travel mugs, perfect for filling up with tea and watching Hot House every month. So there is a golden ticket in one of these. So go and check out the website and you'll be able to see that offer. And then just to finish us off today, we've got things coming up as ever. At least once a week, we will be doing stuff over at the House of PMO. And here's just a selection. And the first one for you is Poos and Pots. Poos and Pots, everybody. PMOs are 1 and 2. That's the next one coming up on the 1st of March. So that's it for today. Thanks everybody for joining us. Always fast and furious. I just feel like I'm on adrenaline right now, but it's over and done with. So thank you very much, and we'll see you again next month. Bye for now.
Thanks everyone. Next time.
Take care, everybody. See you later.
Bye.